Let's talk about that. And people like Glenn Greenwald have spoken about that too, that for all the tragedy in Ukraine, there's not, or there doesn't seem to be, a lot of debate in elite media between the various options the US or the EU or NATO might undertake. Is that just a function, as he describes, of the power of the war party, or is it something else?
No, I think he's right. I mean, there's just, obviously, like journalists, like, the more dramatic it is, the better, whatever it is. They're obviously looking at their numbers. People, I guess, are responding to this and watching and staying and not changing the channel. But it's appalling. I mean, it's utterly appalling, the degree to which they will sell out their own working class, their own neighbors, and I believe the civilians in Ukraine, just to get the story that they want, just to get the story that pushes, that's the clear agenda of, so many in the American elites.
Have world events, in your view, led to the decline of woke ideology? So many IPA members have said to me, can you please ask Batya about the fact that now the world is serious, now the international situation is a lot more grave. It does seem to change the debate around relatively trivial things that we seem to have been engaged in over the last decade. Are you starting to see that, or will that not occur?
What it's done is there's a new enemy. So people are not quite as at each other's throats. That's true. But I think that's part of the problem. America is acting like, the media is acting like we're at war. And we are not at war. We're not at war with Russia. I mean, what Russia did was very bad. But they have bought into Zelensky's narrative that we are at war with Russia, and we're not. And, that I think is very dangerous and very bad. So yeah, they're right. Your members are correct that a lot of our stuff is on hold right now, but it's because we're doing a woke analysis of what's happening in Ukraine and in Russia. So I'll give you an example. A month ago, there was a big truckers protest in Canada, and it was a working class, it was a labor strike. It was the biggest labor strike I can remember in my life. They said vaccine mandates were not working, right? And they were tarred as fascists and Nazis, from the get-go,
They were here in Australia. That's exactly how they were described in the Australian media when the debate and the strike was even talked about at all.
Right. So it was immediately tarred them as Nazis, even though there was only one Nazi flag at the 100,000 people showed up. One of them had a Nazi flag. Everybody's a Nazi, right? So that's how they treated the working class, right? Anybody who sort of, gets in the way of like this sort of liberal elite economic agenda gets tarred as a bigot or a racist or a Nazi. But now you look at what's happening in Ukraine, and Facebook a couple weeks ago decided that the Azov battalion, which is an avowedly neo-Nazi battalion fighting on behalf of Ukraine. They're Ukrainians, but Ukraine has an elite battalion that is avowedly neo-Nazi. Facebook decided you're now allowed to praise them. You were not allowed to praise them up until now because they're neo-Nazis. An internal memo was leaked to The Intercept. Now that you're allowed to praise the Azov battalion and say, oh, look how brave these soldiers are, these neo-Nazi soldiers. And it just goes to show you, like, these words like Nazi, actual Nazis, right? Like they're just taking this woke worldview and applying it to Russia and Ukraine, where words have no meanings. It's just about their agenda. And what is their agenda? During the Black Lives Matter summer of 2020, everybody posted a black square, right, for Black Lives Matter. Now everybody's changed their handle to be a Ukrainian flag. Why? Like, why? Ukraine's on the right side of this. I have no problem saying that. I totally think Ukraine is on the right side of this. National sovereignty is extremely important. But the fervor with which the wine moms have taken this up as their issue, it makes no sense. It just makes no sense. Like, why do you care about this issue so much? There's so many issues in the world that are going on that are, as extreme, that are as important, that you've never thought about before. You know, I have liberal friends who suddenly telling me about Russian imperialism day in and day out. You've never said those words before. What do they even mean to you? What does NATO stand for? Do you know? So to me, it's the same thing. It's that same kind of, it's very much driven by elites. All of my Black friends are saying the same thing to me, by the way. Why am I supposed to care about this? You know, what is this supposed to be to us? Why is everyone talking about this, right? But that skepticism, you're not allowed to voice it.